Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Angel of Words podcast, where your stories are heard. I'm your host, Angel of Words. And before we get started, don't forget to click on that notification bell on YouTube. Like, follow, share, comment. It's important. You could also follow us on Spotify. They have video now, so, get to it if you're not a Spotify subscriber, and we're available on all podcast platforms. Our sponsors today are OTW Threads, reminding you to be out of this world, and AttitudeOn10.com, your place to get over your trauma and build resilience. If you want to start your own podcast, folks, we got that coming soon, the tutorial videos. But in the meantime, in the description, we have what you need to purchase to start your own podcast and get your voice heard. And if you want to follow us, we're at Angel of Words ENT. And also, if you want to read the blog and cop some of this exclusive merch, like this cup right here, it's at AOWENT.com. Now, on deck, on the Angel of Words podcast, we have music artists, the mighty Afrodite, thank you for pulling up today on the Angel of Words podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You already know, the host of the Come Up Experience. Yep. We're going to delve right into that. There's a lot to discuss. You are an onion, so let's get to it. How did you get involved in becoming the host?
Yeah, so the host, I feel like kind of came, it was one of the fruits of some of the other work I had did before that. So as you know, I make music, and the first event I ever threw before I started my events company was actually the release party for my first project. So that was cool. It went really well. I knew it was going to be cool, but it actually went great, so that's kind of how I decided I wanted to continue throwing events and bringing people together and stuff. And after doing my own events every month for 2 years, you know what I mean? It's kind of I was ultimately hosting my own events. I wasn't really booking a host. Didn't have a budget for that at the time. So I was like, okay, well, these are all people coming to support me anyway. And I did all the work. So I'm just going to host it and tell people what's up, make sure people are having a good time. So it's something I just got practice in while running my own business. And I moved back to New York last year.
Okay, from where?
From Philadelphia. I went to college in Philadelphia.
Okay, Philly, all right. Yeah, I got family in Philly, man.
Yeah,
God.
Philly is dope.
My grandfather used to live in Philly for years, so shout out to my people in Philly, PA.
Nah, definitely shout out to Philly. They showed me hella love. I started my career out there. They really, the community itself really pushed me to understand and see, what was possible with your creativity. It's a really strong creative community out there, you know what I mean? So I finally moved back last summer. So it kind of felt like starting over, I had my network, everyone came out, people were buying tickets, it was dope. And then I moved cities, which was cool because I was coming back home, but it's also okay, well, damn, I feel like I'm starting from scratch. But lo and behold, a year and a half later, after building my network, I've had so many great opportunities that I probably wouldn't have had if I was in Philly. I've met so many great people, a lot of people support me, and I've been put in spaces that I probably wouldn't have been in if I didn't come back. You know what I mean? Even though it was uncomfortable. So I would say long story short, I've always hosted for the last 3 years when it was my own stuff, but I would say in the last year and a half, I decided that I was good enough to host other people's shows and put it out there. And I did it a couple times in Philly. People knew I was good for that. You know what I mean? For hosting and stuff. But I feel like I decided to actually promote that you could book me as a host in New York, because a lot of people started telling me that I was good at it. So I'm just okay, so I'm tripping. So let me stop tripping,
Well, first of all, I want to say shout out to Philly one more time.
Nah, for sure.
It is a very interesting place in my personal life. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother moved out to Philly with my grandfather back in the days. Spent a lot of days out there, and it was super dope. And for those of you that don't know what the Come Up Experience is, remember that we had Casey the VOYAGE. She was speaking about the Come Up Experience. She's the creator. This was the host of the event. Unfortunately, I did some red carpet there for the first 2 hours. I had one of my aunts passed away that day. May she rest in peace, which is why I had to leave early. But I remember, I recorded with you. I was able to interview you, and you killed the game. And you said something that was extremely important.
What'd I say?
Right?
What'd I say?
And this goes, folks, to the imposter syndrome situation, because, according to reports, that I've been reading online and through the New York Times and through, various scholarly psychological uh, journals, I've read that, millennials, young people suffer from imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And you said that day something very important where you said that if you want to do something, sometimes you got to do it scared.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Not knowing, you may even think that you don't belong there, but you have to do it scared.
Yeah.
And you hosted the event, and I want you to elaborate on that because I feel like you're a fearless individual, and I want people, for you to let people know why you feel like that's an important comment.
Yeah, so I would say that comment in general, that phrase in general, doing it scared, is something that has stuck with me for a long time. I think that the first time I heard it was maybe 2018, 2019. Like in college, they give you a bunch of different talks. You're going to seminars, you're going to like things. I would try to do a lot of like extracurricular things, improve my resume. So I'm talking to a lot or hearing from a lot of people in higher positions. And that was the first time I heard that, just doing it scared, because a lot of people who are less qualified than you are in the position that you want to be in solely because they asked or went for it or applied or just tried it. You know what I mean? So doing it scared, and like my relationship with fear is something that I have specifically focused on at different points in my life, because I felt like there comes a point where you may realize that like fear is holding you back. And the only thing holding you back is that you're scared to do it. You know what I mean? Or scared something will go wrong. But I think that for me, there were so many times where I was unsure about doing something and I decided to do it anyway. Like, well, if it doesn't go well, at least I tried it. I don't really lose anything per se, And I did. And there's so many times where I've been in that situation, did it anyway, and then it went well. And I was like, oh, that was nothing to be scared of. Like when you're dreading sending an email and it turns out it takes 2 minutes and you just procrastinated for 2 weeks for no reason. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of just like, fear is irrational. Emotions are irrational, but fear is irrational, and it can definitely impact the way you think about something or the perspective you have on something. So sometimes you just got to like talk yourself out of it. It's okay to be nervous. Being scared or fearful or nervous or anxious is a valid emotion to feel in a lot of situations where people feel nervous or scared. You know what I mean? But I think that if you want something, you have to ask yourself how many more times you're going to let fear be the thing that gets in the way of you trying it, starting it, accomplishing it at all,
Where do you think you started developing that fortitude?
I would say when I went to college, I think that was the first time around 18, 19 where I had to really bounce.
Did you go to college in Philly?
Yeah, I went to Temple University.
Oh, did you?
All 4 years.
All right.
Yeah, I graduated with
Let's
my
go
bachelor's.
Owls. You know what I mean?
Let's to you. For
Okay.
sure. Yeah. So I would say that was the first time I really had to break a cycle that I was stuck in high school. I was getting out of a pretty bad relationship. So going to college for me was a really big, like, letting the bird out the cage. Like, I just felt so free. I could make my own decisions. I was starting over. You know what I mean? So I think that finally being on my own and having the freedom to do whatever I want, although I made plenty of bad decisions, I think it was very necessary for me to figure out, okay, well, this is what I want for myself. So this is what I have to do to get it. Like, nobody's really on your back telling you what they want to do or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I would say it came out, like, whenever I think of the beginning of like my spiritual journey or my growth or this mindset of, no, I'm going to have it my way, was probably coming out of that situation, just because I felt really like helpless. And at some point I decided I wasn't going to feel that way anymore. And I was just going to go for it. And college was a lot of new things. Like, the year of 18, like 19 years old, like that was the year I started making music. That was the year I like decided I was going to start going by Afrodite. That's the year like I was in college. I did my first year, did very bad on my grades. Like, I was completely distracted. I actually had to take a semester off because my dad was like, okay, I'm not paying for you to fail. You know what I mean? So I came back to New York for I was actually back for a year before I went back to Temple.
Wow, so you did take a break here. Wow.
Yeah, I took a semester off, and then I actually went to BMCC for a semester, just so I didn't fall too behind in credits, because there was no way I wasn't getting a degree, and there was no way I wasn't going to be class of 2020.
Yeah. And shout out to BMCC. I graduated from there myself.
No, very good for you. Yeah, for sure. Being there definitely made me want to go back to like Temple though.
Oh yeah, I'm a city kid. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
but to each his own. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I'm glad that BMCC kept you on the straight and narrow till you went back to Temple. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
That's what's up. Now, you mentioned something during that story. You created Aphrodite. Could you discuss how that came about?
Yeah, so Aphrodite was actually like my Instagram in high school, maybe like junior, senior year. After the last time I changed it to Aphrodite. And it was just a cute name. I was maybe like a couple years into my natural hair journey. So I was like, okay, Aphrodite. Aphrodite was always my favorite goddess in like English class. So I was like, okay, like.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm big into Greek philosophy and Greek, all the Greek gods. So it's the goddess of love. So I thought it was dope. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
So she was always my favorite. So I kind of went with that. And then I was doing poetry at the time before I got into music. I was writing poetry. It's something I did in high school. I performed for the first time as a part of this organization I was a part of in high school. I was 17. And then when I got to college and I was performing, I was actually doing poetry even before I was doing music. Nice. So that was cool. But I also decided that, okay, well, once my friends started pushing me to do music or to make music or to rap, I was just like, okay, well, if I'm going to make music, I'm not about to go around like as my poetry name, because my poetry name was actually just my government. It was Layla Devon, which is my first and middle name. So once I decided I was doing music, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to be Layla Devon if I do music, because it just feels like a little bit of a different tone of voice. You know, Layla Devon, my poetry was a lot softer, introspective. You can actually connect with what I'm thinking, which is great. You know what I mean? And part of why I did it. But I think that the music was meant to capture a feeling, so I'm capturing different feelings. That's what music is. It's different moods, or it can be that.
Definitely. No, it is that, in some respects, for sure.
So at some point, once I needed a stage name, I was like, well, Aphrodite's dope. I'm like, maybe it's corny, but I'm like, well, I don't know anybody else that's named after a god or goddess. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm just going to go with Aphrodite. And then I started doing that. And it was kind of the first time I had like an actual nickname. You know what I mean? People just would call me by my name most of the time. And then I got so many compliments. Oh, that's such a cool name. Oh my gosh, I never heard of that. Oh yes, I know that's right. Oh yes, beautiful, whatever. So I'm just like, okay, like it's a cool name. People remember it. People start giving me a nickname now. Now I'm Afro, now I'm Fro, now I'm Dity, So I'm just like, all right. And it kind of just stuck,
That's what's up. I love the genesis of names. I'm big on the name situation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Now, wow, that's a lot. And, by the way, folks, as you know, we always have here surprises on the Angel of Words podcast.
Surprises? I like surprises.
Yeah, the surprises that you're going to be performing today.
Oh, yeah.
What song will you be performing?
So I'm actually going to do a song that's not out yet.
Okay.
I have to admit that I have been holding out on some music.
Okay.
Feel me? I've been holding out. I haven't been doing a lot of performing. I've been doing some background work for the business, but I'm going to do a song that's actually on the project that I'm working on.
Okay.
And I feel like it kind of just speaks to how I've been feeling lately. So I think that's
okay. Does the song have a title?
Yes, it's called Here I Am.
So she's going to be performing Here I Am.
Yeah.
Here she is on the Angel of Words podcast. She will be performing Here I Am. That's super excited. By the way, everyone, just so you know, the podcast is sponsored by OTW Threads. Get that gear at OTW Threads on the gram. And they remind you to be out of this world. And also attitudeon10.com, your place to start getting over your trauma and build resilience.
You're so good at that.
So dope. Now, we're going to segue to your music. Let's discuss that.
Yes, let's do it.
Because I am going to be honest, I noticed like evolution in your music. Your music to me now is that get money, sexy rap.
Thank you. Yeah.
That woman's empowering rap. I love the song Overlap. Discuss the influences there, who produced it, how did that happen?
For sure. So Overlap, I released in 2021. I released it last year. And Overlap was one of the first singles, one of the only singles I dropped after my EP in 2019. I did Dystopia and then I did Overlap. And Overlap was really cool because I got the beat from a friend who actually his name is Blair. Shout out to Blair. He's actually a friend of mine from Philly.
Yeah, shout out your producers, please.
Yeah, literally. Blair Smith, super fire. He's from Philly. He does a lot of things. He actually does art and collages and stuff like that. Super dope guy. And he actually sent me a couple beats just like, hey, Afro, like I made these with you in mind. Or like, I heard these and thought of you. So I'm sending them over. And I actually sat on them for a while. A lot of people send me beats and I have a lot of beats in my email. And I kind of just sit on them until I'm ready to be like, okay, I need something new. Then I'll go back and then maybe like months later, I'll hit you up like, oh my God, this beat is is fire. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what happened. And I started writing to it. And I really I think I came up with a little bit of the hook first. And then I was kind of just like, okay, well, it's kind of just about me having my momentum, doing my thing, and getting this money. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Overlap was supposed to be about. It was about, wow, look at how much work I've put in, and let me celebrate myself and actually just be confident because I did the work and I have the fruits of that labor, you know? And I would say that's really where Overlap is. You know what I mean? It's just confident and getting money. That's what we do. We celebrating our success.
Now, you also mentioned something that was controversial on the track.
What I said.
You said, fuck them plastics. There's a lyric that says, fuck them plastics.
Yeah.
You know, I listen. I have to discuss these things.
Nah, for
you
sure.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, we live in a plastic kind of driven world, especially on the gram more than I would say any other platform. Right. Discuss why you felt the need to celebrate your natural state.
Yeah, so I am never one to body shame. I think everyone should look however they want to, because who is anyone else to tell you how you want to look? But I also, it's kind of like, I don't think that being confident in what you have or do with your body or look like has to mean that I'm like comparing to somebody else. So it's kind of just, it's not fuck the plastic because, oh, I'm better than you. It's kind of just like, okay, what? The topic right now is natural beauty. Okay. So if that's the topic right now. It wasn't a
condescending towards the plastic.
Not at all.
Ladies.
They be looking good. The girls be looking good. You know what I mean? And a lot of times you can't even tell sometimes. Not a lot of times.
Because I mean, some girls might be like, yo, you know, you're bitter with this, that, thing. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No,
you know how it goes.
Not at all. Not at all. It's just, that's what I was talking about at the time. So we're like, okay, well, if it's the naturals, it's fuck the plastics because he wants the natural body. So that's where we're here. You know what I mean? But I mean, for every guy that loves natural bodies, there's plenty of guys that like the accentuated bodies. You know what I mean? Which is cool. But like, we're not talking about that. We talk about this right now. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? It builds levels to your music. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that, you know, I don't hear that as much as I feel like I'm surprised that I don't hear as much as I would like to in music. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about it sometimes in female rap.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that's girls talk that doesn't get said out. You know what I mean? Sure, like it's kind of taboo to discuss. So you know, I was like, oh wow, like I've never heard a woman go out on a limb and say something like that. And you know, obviously it wasn't derogatory. It was just like, you know, that's how you was feeling the vibe at that moment in your lyrics. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All right, cool. No, all right. Now we're gonna move on to another track that I enjoyed.
Okay.
Find My Way, because this is a more introspective track.
Yeah.
And I felt like this really hit home. It brought me back to my youth. You know, and we discussed early on, you know, imposter syndrome, kids trying to find their way. The name of the track is Find Your Way. You know, discuss your motivation, your inspiration, your thoughts behind, you know, creating that track right there.
Yeah. So Find My Way was actually a song that sat in my voice notes for a while.
Okay.
I made it in the studio with someone that I used to work with. And he made beats and he played this one beat and I was like, oh, this is so nice. And the beat that I released it with is actually not the same vibe as the original beat. But I stopped being in contact with that person, so I couldn't get the beat, and he never finished it, and he don't know where it is, and he lost his computer. It was a whole thing, right?
Yeah, but and arroz con culo, how they would say in Puerto Rico, you know?
Yeah, exactly, all of that. And so at some point, I was like, okay, well, I still really love this song. Like, it's still a really nice song. But I think that I can remake it. You know what I mean? Like, I can just show someone this voice note and we could get it remade. And that's actually exactly what happened with Find My Way.
Building the melody and all that stuff?
Yeah, well, I already had the melody. It was the same. I just want to find my, it was the same thing. A little bit slower. It felt a little bit more intimate. It was a little bit more like drums and piano and that kind of thing. So it was a real soft feel, very nice. And then by the time that I got in the studio with the engineer, that I was like, okay, I want you to remake a beat for, like, I want you to make a beat for this because this is the feel. This is what it sounds like. Make me something. You know what I mean? By the time I got to that point, I was just open to a new sound that still made the lyrics come across sonically the way that I wanted them to feel when I wrote it in a soft tone. You know what I mean? So that's what happened. I actually recorded the song in North Carolina with Sir Mello. His name is I Am Sir Mello. He's dope. He works at Chop House Studios. It was super cool. It was a super great session. He took maybe 40 minutes to make the beat, made it right in front of my face after, you know, sang it a little bit so he could catch on. And we recorded it right there. And it was a great experience. Yeah, and it was pretty cool. So Find My Way overall is really just that's how I felt at the moment. Like I was just finding my way. Sometimes I think when you're an entrepreneur and you're building your own business, doing the same things every day, sometimes it takes a lot of small tasks until you start to see the reward. So I think sometimes it's easy for people to get encouraged. But sometimes I kind of just talk to myself in a way about, okay, like I'm on my way, like I'm still finding my way. If I stop now, I'm never gonna find it. And like it might be cold and slow and not busy, and we might be broke and tired and stay up late or whatever, but like we're on our way. And it's kind of like a reminder to me that like you're on your way, we're making our name, and we're just gonna keep going because people are watching, you know, like because this is what we want to do. So
like I said, it really hit home because, when you're young, you're like, I don't know sometimes what I want to do. Like,
literally,
you know what I'm saying?
And I feel like there's such
it's a lot of pressure, social
facade.
pressure. Yeah, go ahead, continue on the facade because that's an interesting point.
There's such a facade of just like everything's always going well with social media. It's easy to always post the good times and when things are up. But I don't think that people talk about. There's so many days where I'm kind of just like, yo, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm having the right conversations. I don't know if I'm getting in my own. Like, sometimes you just don't know. That seems to be the theme of the 20-something age era. You just don't know, and you're figuring it out. And I have such a strong head and strong mind. And people tell me about how dedicated I am to my goals and how different I am from other people who are so complacent. And I see that all the time. So it's kind of just a constant question of, okay, I don't know, but 1, this is what feels right. 2, this is what I want. And 3, like, this is what I'm capable of. And how much more can I do than what I've done if I keep going? You know what I mean? How many opportunities would I miss if I gave up right now? Because I have felt the feeling. I didn't even know I was going to be making music. Nevertheless, to do my release party for this 6-song project that I decided to put together, and 100 people come out, sell out the thing, sell out my vendors, singing my lyrics, asking me for an encore. Like, that is kind of like, I have so many moments like that where I'm just like, yo, this surpassed my expectations. And I think all the times in my life where something I did surpassed my own expectations are the things that push me forward, because I'm just like, okay, well, I almost discredited myself. You know what I mean? I didn't give myself enough credit for what I was capable of, how much people banged with me, how much people support me. And now, like, look, you know what I mean? Like, I believed enough to get me here, and I got so much more back from the universe. You know what I mean? And that happens often. You know what I mean? That happens a lot with me. So it kind of, remembering those moments makes me keep pushing myself, because it's like, how would I keep doing these amazing things if I stopped? And now we're all the way here. Now we're hosting events. Now we're hosting award shows. Now we're getting into media. We're running a magazine. Like, we're doing a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I never would have did that if I didn't keep going, if I didn't try it, if I didn't push myself,
Yes, girl, do your thing. You know what I mean? You got a yes, girl.
For
you know
sure.
what I mean? Do your thing.
For sure.
That's what's up. Well, I didn't know about the magazine situation, so I'm going to save that for the back half of what we're discussing. But, we can go a lot of ways with this. She is performing today, folks. So you know what it is. We got to make sure we get to that performance, because I'm sure you guys want to see it. And this lady is an onion. I could talk to her about music all day, but I want to talk about the way that you're marketing yourself, because you're going about it in a different route. You're going about it in the entrepreneurial route. You have the AFRO-Ductions. You're doing your thing. The first time I ever heard of you was not because of your music. It was because you were doing a beauty. You were hosting and throwing events. You throw events, you curate events, and you were doing a beauty event, right? Yeah. Am I wrong about that? And then the second time was an open mic that you were doing with the Stella Connect.
Yeah.
So talk about how you've been able to take the music situation and infiltrate other avenues that help you gain notoriety for your music and the importance of that. I know it's a lot of questions, but you went to Temple, you should be able to break this down.
I got it all noted down already.
Go ahead.
That degree paid off.
Yeah, it's a fact. So, go ahead, girl.
For sure. But I would say that everything really has come very full circle. And there have always been people that know me for different things, even in Philly when I was in the first couple of years of my career. Like, people, when I just started making music and performing music, there were people who were like, oh, I didn't know you make music. You're a really great poet. There were people, even when I started music, that were booking me to do poetry. Then I did my event, and then I kept doing events, and I did it in a collab. So then people knew me, oh, well, she's the host of this event. Oh, she makes music too. This is really dope. And they kind of knew that because I was always performing, but it's kind of like, it's dope because the events started because of the music, and now the music gets support because of the events. So I kind of continued to take my event company seriously because I felt that being adept in business and being business savvy was very important as an artist, because a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. A lot of people get like effed over. A lot of people just, you can turn off the people that will be willing to get you the money that you need or want if you know what you're talking about, if you're confident about it, and if you know how things work. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to get effed over if you know what you're talking about. And I think that it was important to me, what was important to me was to set my business, my brands, and the things that I do apart from all the rinky-dink ghetto stuff that goes on elsewhere. I hated going to events that they charge you $20 to be in a basement. I hated events where they sold like the cheapest $5 liquor. You know what I mean? I hated the events where like you can't get in the door. People aren't checking tickets. I hate when I buy a ticket and nobody checks the ticket, because then what was the point? You know what I mean? I hate like, it shows me that you're taking your event serious if you make sure all the tickets get checked in so that like you can keep up with your statistics. Like, there's a certain way to go about things. When you go to these professional, corporate, big name events, there's a certain way that you carry yourself. If you walk into like a BET event in a sweatsuit, you're going to feel out of place. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, well, I want to be able to create the same caliber when I'm in the room, when you're coming out with me, when you're throwing an event with me, like whatever you see me in, I want it to be like quality. I don't want it to be like, oh, you see Aphrodite just posted she's performing and you know it's about to be in the trap house down the block because that's her crowd. Like, that's what I didn't want. So it was really important for me to just set a standard of like elegance and organization, and just still welcoming people and creating a great vibe, but just doing it in an organized way. You know what I mean? And I mean, being organized makes my job easier too. You know what I mean? So now, a little bit later, I think it's really cool that people know me for so many different things. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep up because I meet a lot of people in a lot of different settings. Sometimes I'm modeling, sometimes I'm interviewing, sometimes I'm on a podcast, sometimes I'm hosting, sometimes I'm doing behind the scenes, sometimes I'm in the studio. People know that I do music. They're asking me for advice. So, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like people know me from so many different things. There's so many times I like see people and they're like, oh, Afro, how are you? Yeah, last time I seen you this or that. And I'm kind of just like, yeah, nice to see you too. Like, having no idea who they are, but it's pretty cool because it's kind of just like, okay, well, I never really know what people are thinking. I just know that people are paying attention. That's what makes me say people are paying attention, because, you know, like, you came with all the details, all the lyrics, all the this, the hashtags, the caption. That's cool. I love that because I put thought into all of that. So it's like, I'm glad that people are noticing, or somebody's noticing, or the right people are noticing, you know, but everything has definitely come full circle. And the more I focus on one thing, the more people know me for one thing, and then they love me for whatever I do. And because they love me in whatever setting they met me in, they will support whatever else I'm doing.
Yeah, you built that trust in that faction, and then all of a sudden she's doing this too. Well, it's got to be dope because what she did over here was dope. You feel me?
Exactly. And then my music has always just been an expression of the way I feel and the things I think. So I think that when people like me authentically for who I am, and then they hear my music, I think it makes it easier to relate, because you know my tone of voice, as opposed to if you never knew me, never seen me, and I was just another performer you were seeing. Once you're familiar with me, it's like, oh, okay, because now you hear my tone of voice, how it's changing, and my demeanor, and you may know what I'm talking about because you know about the different things that I do. You know what I mean? So it's dope, and it's a nice feeling because like people get inspired, and people ask me what I'm doing, and people ask me what's coming next, and people are like, oh, your information, oh, I wish I could do that, or this, you know. So it's nice to just put in the work and trust that it's gonna pay off, because it has so far. So,
well, you said something important. I like that you're so aware.
Thank you.
Because people are watching. Yeah. And if you're perpetrating, you will be exposed.
Yeah.
You know, and I really feel like everyone, it doesn't matter what age they are, when they're on, so, you know, doing certain things to promote their careers, they're overselling and they're perpetrating things that they're not going to be able to produce. And the fact that, you know, I personally, yes, I try to do my best to make sure that I'm paying attention to my artists, and because I want them to know that you're not here because I didn't have nobody else to get, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like a plethora of different things. Like I respected who you were at the moment that I met you, and I was intrigued, and I want to have a conversation with you. Like when I met you at the Come Up experience, like, you know, you mentioned everything but your artistry. You said, oh, you know, I'm a music artist, but I'm also this, I'm also that.
Yeah.
And so I focused on that. But then when I put your name in Spotify, I was like, oh,
I got a whole
really is, and she
Yeah.
gets listens too. It's real. You know what I'm saying?
For sure, because I spent so much time like in the field. Like I've been making music since 2018, and 2018 until maybe the beginning of this year, I've been outside performing. How many times in college I had 2, 3, 4 performances a week? You know what I mean? The entire weekend booked from Friday, 2 shows Saturday, and then Sunday. You know what I mean? Like I have the practice. That's how I got good on the mic. That's how I got good at crowd control. Like it literally all just comes together in such a beautiful way. You know what I mean? And part of the reason why I think I package and brand myself or market myself as a business is because one, I wanted to add that value in myself as an artist, because I can build my business forever. That's never going to take away from my artistry or being a creative. So it's not so much that I put the music on pause, but it's more so like, okay, like I'm really like building an empire here, an entertainment empire in my own way. And I think that I can't do it all at once. I've tried to do it all at once. It doesn't really go as it should. So I've taken this year to really like, okay, let me perfect this project so I have a great rollout, and let me like solidify my platform so that people know what I'm doing, what I'm offering, where you can find me, and who I'm associated with. You know what I mean? Know that I have the network for it. Know that I'm good for it. You know what I mean? So now it's like, okay, I don't want to be approached as a regular open mic artist anymore, because that's not what I am. That's not what I feel like. And I've kind of outgrown that. But I want people to know that if you're going to book me, you can pay me, because I have a crowd. I have a following. Like people know my music. Like I can sell tickets. The little things that actually matter to help someone else build a business, and now becomes a collaboration and a partnership, and not just an opportunity. You know what I mean? And that was really important to me, because once you start playing with the big boys and you get in the big field and people got all these credentials, they don't really need you. They don't need you around. You know what I mean? They don't need you. Like you said, like you didn't, like I'm not here because you couldn't find nobody else. Like, and that's always going to be the case, especially in the industry. Feel me? It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm just coming to make my bread and let people know that I'm not playing, because I'm not playing. And there's so many people trying to be an artist, trying to be a business, and just not doing what it takes. And that's fine. But if you want to be great, you got to do what it takes, you know?
You make yourself of service. And you provide value.
Yes, exactly.
So not only to the person trying to work with you, but to other people, because you know you're doing these events. And I want to discuss, you know, when you do these music events and these showcases like you did with the open mic, what do you look for when you're deciding who gets to come on and who doesn't? Because you're still an artist yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you know, I'm sure that, I'm not sure, but like, does like a condescending situation go through your mind? Like, you don't seem like the type that you feel better than the artist. Like, you're really looking for real talent.
Yeah. So I see creators as creators, you know what I mean? And I really like to give the energy that I receive. Like, I'm never really going to throw back negativity if you're being a negative person, but it definitely is about the way you carry yourself. And that's it. The way you carry yourself is one of the most important things for me when I'm like sourcing for my events. Whether you're a vendor, I don't want you. I'd rather have the vendor that has the tablecloth and the little flyer that has the name of their brand and their business cards than like the friend I know who's gonna come with like a 4-foot plastic table that's like kind of bent and like doesn't have brand. You know what I mean? Like there's just ways and different parts of people's journey that they're on. You know what I mean? And I think that to create that quality and standard of, okay, this is a serious event. Okay, this is an event partner I would like to work with. Okay, this is an event I'm willing to sponsor. Then there's a certain caliber. Like, you're not going to get sponsored by a big brand if your entire event is disorganized. You're not going to get a big DJ to DJ your event if you don't even have all your artists and now you're harassing him the last day and you don't know who's going who and nobody's there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it really just has to do with the way you carry yourself. You know, I know artists don't really, and it's so dope because I get to see things from the artist perspective of, okay, I need an opportunity. And I get to see things from the back end like, okay, these artists are crazy. You know what I mean? Because they are. And a lot of them are out of their goddamn minds. You know what I mean? But I think it's important to work with people that know how to be professional. And not everyone does. But I try to emphasize when I'm doing business stuff the way I want things to go. Because another reason why I started doing my events and running my own business is because I like to lead, you know? And that's the nice way to say I like to be in charge, because I feel like when I have a vision of the way something is going, I don't have a problem executing it. I think I'm very good at delegating roles. So like I can run an entire event by myself. I mean, obviously I can need help and I'm gonna accept help, but it's easy for me to be like, okay, you work the door, you do this, you sit here. If something happens, let me know. Once this person comes in, I need you to let me know. Okay, great. I'm gonna talk to the DJ. I'll be right back. Okay. You know, like I'm very good at communicating and just making things happen. You know what I mean? So.
What do you like more then? Like being an artist right now? Do you like them all at the same? Like what's happening right now?
I know, and that's the dilemma I'm like having. You know
I mean, it sounds like one, but it's a good dilemma to have. You know what I'm saying?
It is. I think that I really like leading. That's something I really want to do in my professional life.
Okay.
And sometimes I ask myself, what should come first? Like, should I be an artist first right now and then let people know, like, oh, she's not just an artist, she does business stuff? Or should I be a business first and let people respect me enough to be like, okay, I'll hear what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they can both stand pretty strongly on their own, which is why I constantly teeter between both. You know what I mean? I could get booked if I want to. I have footage I could send out, like, you know, I have a proper, like, EPK for both of them. Like, it's cool. It's hard because they both feel like different parts of my personality that I'm trying to balance in the right way that can move both of them forward without them getting in the way of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Now when it comes to your music, do you just release anything and just throw it out on Spotify? You really take your time. You know, you don't release something on those DSPs unless you feel like you're ready for the world to listen to this forever.
Yeah, I definitely am a little bit picky with my releases. I want it to have a purpose, or I kind of just want to know that they're done and well worked on, so that once it's delivered, it's not half-assed. I don't want someone to listen to it and be like, oh, she rushed it. You know what I mean? So definitely has something to do with that, but it really has mostly to do with a plan. You know, I don't like releasing without a plan. I have plenty of music to release, so it's cool. Like, I know people get upset when artists like don't release their new stuff and we kind of just hoard it all. That's kind of what I'm doing right now, but I'm still creating too. So it really just becomes about managing whatever message I might want to get across. Sometimes if I'm feeling spontaneous, I'll drop how I've been feeling lately. And sometimes I'm just like, nah, this is a great song. I forgot about this. I'm finally going to release this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it just depends on the song.
Now, Aphrodite, 46% of the minority entrepreneurs are females.
46?
46%. Yeah,
Nice.
these numbers are valid.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent.
You know what I'm saying?
It went up like 30% after the pandemic.
Yeah. No, it totally did. You know, but 10% are people under the age of 30. So,
are entrepreneurs?
Yeah, no,
wow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
nice.
Entrepreneurs. So
I mean, that's good.
Well, female, not only just does that matter to you? Do you feel proud when you hear statistics like that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
That does matter to me, and that's actually something I've been thinking a lot about lately. I have been coming across a lot of like women in media. Like, I have been getting into media and hosting and doing interviews and stuff like that. So I've been paying more attention to other women that do that in the industry. And it's like motivating but cool because there's a small woman community, there's a small Latina woman community, and there's a smaller Afro-Latina community. You know what I mean? And it puts me in such a particular niche. And
are you Afro-Latina?
I am Afro-Latina. Yeah, I'm half Caribbean and half Mexican.
Oh, half Peruvian and half Mexican?
Half Caribbean.
Yeah,
from Turks and Caicos.
Okay, Turks and Caicos and half Mexican.
Yes, sir.
Wow, what an interesting mix. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that living in New York all these years. That's interesting. All right, cool.
No, for sure. So
that must be wild, right? Here in New York. I mean, everybody's always trying to guess where you're from and stuff.
They always think I'm Dominican. Yeah. Every time. I'm like, oh no, it's always the old Dominicans too. Like, oh, eres Dominicana. No.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow, okay.
Yeah, cool. But it's cool. But it puts me in such a particular niche, and I don't think I pay attention to it as much as I could. Yeah. And a lot of people that know me, some people that work in like management and marketing that know me, they're like, well, why don't you play on that? Why don't you introduce yourself? Oh, I'm Aphrodite, the Afro-Latina. And I'm just like, I mean, I never really thought it mattered. You know what I mean? Like, it's just who I am. It's something I've lived with. Like, I know what it is and it's cool. And that's how I live my life. I'm very Caribbean. I'm very Mexican, you know what I mean? In my habits and what I eat and stuff like that. But I didn't know that was like a selling point. You know what I mean?
You know, and I'm gonna say this on the air. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I hope my co-producer doesn't get upset because they get mad when I go on the limb and I go on my.
Let's see.
You know, my thing is like those things shouldn't matter. When you're sure of yourself, you just let that rock on their own. You let the public find out that on their own, and let them research. I'm like, oh wow, not only is she dope, but she's this. Wow.
Yeah, that's what
you
I'm
know what
saying.
I'm saying.
And
like that's always like the way I've been. Like Puerto Ricans, we're flamboyant. We like to put the flag up. I mean, I'll be playing myself if I didn't, if I didn't say these people influenced me at all whatsoever. But if I could go without doing that, because I didn't do this in the beginning. I just wanted to be me coming out and recording.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And as I started getting more cozy and coming into my own, I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to throw some shine on there, but I don't want that to be the first thing like that I mentioned.
Oh, this Puerto Rican
yeah, because I feel like I'm going like I'm trying too hard. And I'm like, I'm trying to like.
For sure. And I don't think that's the first thing I want to bring. Like, I take pride in where I'm from and who I am in my culture, without a doubt. Like, I wouldn't want to be nothing else. I hate how much people disrespect Mexican culture. Like, I love who I am. Yeah. But it just feels weird for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm Afro-Latina. Like, the whole conversation around, there's a joke, right? There's a joke that I seen on Twitter that was like, okay, you're in a room with like a Blasian, a vegan, like a Blasian, a vegan, and some other shit, like a Puerto Rican or something.
Okay.
Who's going to tell you who they are first?
The Puerto Rican, more than likely.
Yeah, more than likely. But it's kind of just a joke about like there are certain people who are always like,
what was the joke? I don't want to ruin the joke. What was the joke?
No, the joke was just like vegans and Blasians and mixed girls and
okay,
Puerto
so the
Ricans.
joke is like, who's gonna tell you?
Yeah, because they're always
first?
Like, oh yeah, I'm Blasian. Oh yeah, I'm vegan. Oh yeah, I'm Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? So it's just funny, but it's kind of like that's what it makes me feel like to introduce myself. Like, oh hey, yeah, I'm black. I'm Hispanic. Oh yeah, I'm Latina. Kind of just like no one asked. No one asked.
Got you. Hey.
So I don't want to say a weird relationship, but it's something that I've been considering lately. Like, I do want people to know where I'm from.
Yeah.
I think I come off as ambiguous.
You just let them know. You just did it
when they ask. If they want to ask, people make assumptions, but I don't know. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow, that's all right. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you were able to share that perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I feel, like I just said how I feel, and that's dope though. You know what I'm saying? That you're not scared to say it. It's just like, to you, I'm about getting this money. Like,
for sure. With race, there's so many layers to race. It becomes a whole different thing that I don't even want to. I want to say I don't want to be involved in, not because it doesn't matter, but because like the politics are just so unnecessary. Because then when this is also kind of a tangent, but when you're talking about race, there's being black, being Latina, being black and Latina, being a brown skin Latina, and looking a certain way, but then looking different from darker people, but then there's a whole thing around it. And I just don't really like to play into it because I think it's all bullshit. And I think we should all just be
the African diaspora.
It's a whole thing. The black Dominicans, the white Dominicans, the light Hispanic, the Spanish Hispanics. It's a whole thing. And I just kind of like to stay away from it. So it doesn't take away from who I am. It's just...
Yeah, we out here in America doing.
You never know what people gonna say. People are always watching. People got a lot of shit to say. So
man, and and honestly, like the important thing is that you're living in your truth.
For sure.
That's my thing. Just live in your truth, man. You know what I mean? Everything else shouldn't matter, and just have a purpose, and and it is what it is. At the end of the day, I don't think like these things are. I mean, they're important, but making them a staple of who you are, where you're becoming bipolar. I mean, not bipolar, polarizing.
Yeah.
At that point, then it's like, really, that's not what I meant to do. I want you to know who Aphrodite is and, follow AFRODUCTIONS and, you know what I'm saying? Like now we're worrying about this political situation.
This whole other thing that I ain't even asked for. Like I'm just being my, you know what I mean?
I hear you and I hear it and I like that. You know what I mean? I like that. I think that's dope. And everyone, just so you know, the podcast is sponsored by OTW Threads, reminding you to be out of this world, and attitudeon10.com, your place to get over your trauma and build resilience. And folks, Aphrodite will be performing after this podcast, so stay tuned to the end. And right now, Aphrodite, we have reached the point in the podcast where it's time to play 5 Words with Angel.
I like games and I like surprise.
All right, cool. On 5 Words with Angel, I'm going to give you a word, phrase, or a question, and you're going to give me the first word that comes to your head. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. The first word is AFRODUCTIONS. What do you think about when you think about AFRODUCTIONS?
Events.
All right, that's what's up.
Is it one word or you want a whole response?
No.
Like word for word?
No. You can give me one word. That's fine. Some people just go on a natural tangent and I let them rock. But, it doesn't seem like,
AFRODUCTIONS makes me think of events. It makes me think of experiences. I created AFRODUCTIONS because I like to curate experiences. I'm very social. So AFRODUCTIONS was my way of taking all my different social circles and bringing them all into one.
Love it. Makes perfect sense, and it's going to work for you moving forward. I can see it already.
For sure.
The second word is fear. What do you think about when you think about fear?
Fuck it. Leave it behind. Fear just is like a really big, scary monster that is actually not that hard to defeat, It's almost like a really big monster that's haunting you, and then you find out it's like a hologram, and that you could actually just waft it away, it's irrational. No, leave her home.
All right, cool. The next word is the come up experience.
Movie viral. The come up experience was really dope. I got a chance to meet a lot of really dope people. I would say it's one of the first industry events that I've hosted entirely. You know what I mean? I've had bits and pieces, but it was really dope. I got to meet a lot of really dope people, professionally put together. Really great team, great sponsors.
Now, the next word is musicians. What do you think about when you think about musicians?
Talented, dedicated. I actually love live music. I guess this is something not everyone knows about me, but I actually was a band geek in school.
Okay.
I played the flute from 6th grade to 12th grade. I got into my high school for music. I was first chair in high school. I was actually a really big band geek. I used to lead the practices for the flute section.
What?
I was a really big. I aced music theory. Skipped a year because I aced the first year. You know what I mean? I was actually a really big band geek.
Wow. So music is in your blood,
I love music.
From the outset, kid status.
Music, yeah.
Word. Wow.
Yeah.
And that must give you a really big insight, a really big advantage when you're actually in the studio.
On how to create.
You know what I mean?
And it also makes it easier for me to communicate with the engineer. I realize
yes.
There are certain ways I don't know how to talk to an engineer. I don't know how to talk tech, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's also being able to just communicate, no, I want it to be this or shorter or faster or more beats or this or that. I know how to talk about it now. You know what I mean? Or, what key is it? I can ask because it matters. You know what I mean? What if we change this note to this? Can we make it minor?
You can read music as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That makes
I can read music. I can
Well,
write
we're
music.
learning more and more here.
Yeah.
An onion being layered, being peeled over here. Wow. Yeah, that gives you a distinct advantage, man. When you understand music on that kind of level, it just does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So doing recording music was definitely just a different way to involve music in my life, because I've always been very I've always loved music, from 12 years old throughout high school. Then when I stopped playing my instrument, I was still listening to a lot of music, a lot of different types of music. I was trying different genres and things like that. So music is really a way of coping for me. I'll listen to music before I'll watch TV. I have not had a TV and I would just listen to music. That's how I listen to so much music. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Gives me a peace of mind. Sometimes I listen. So while I'm cleaning, while I'm getting ready, while I'm eating, while I'm working, whatever it is, it's cool. Put on some lo-fi while I study. Put on a little jazz while I study or meditate or make my list for the day. I love music. Music is definitely a language for sure.
Wow. There you have it, folks. Learning more and more about the mighty Aphrodite. Now, the last thing, because I realized that you notice music, and I actually changed the 5 words with Angel as the podcast was going along.
Okay.
The last word is Aladdin, because I heard you humming it before we got on the air.
Aladdin.
Yeah, what do you think about? You think about Aladdin?
Aladdin is. I was singing it. That's so funny because I was singing it because I seen it on a TikTok or
there
something.
You go.
But I actually love Aladdin. Aladdin is one of my favorite princess movies. It's dope. I mean, I don't know, that's a whole different thing too, but I love Aladdin because when we're talking about love, I like the idea of loving whoever you want to love, you know what I mean, and not judging them for whatever. Nice. Obviously, he was kind of mischievous, but it all worked out in the end. But
well, apparently the women seem to love the mischievous men.
Hey, adds a little spice, a little razzle dazzle,
a little salsa, a little hot sauce.
Exactly.
That's what's up. Well, Aphrodite, could you give a message to anyone out there that wants to become a musician or be in this world? a message, you could look into that camera and just let them know what you think about this whole situation.
For sure. So I would say something that was really important to me, something that took a really long time for me to talk myself into and out of, to be into. You have to feel comfortable or get comfortable taking up space. If you want to be something great, take up space in your room doing what you love. That's how you're going to get good at it. If you want to be popular or famous, or you want to be recognized for your work, then don't be afraid to walk into a space and tell people what you do. You know what I mean? Like, be comfortable networking, be comfortable telling people your name, what you do, and put some respect on your own business. Because when you talk to other people who may inspire you because of what they do, just notice how they carry themselves and how they talk about themselves, and how sometimes, like, people talk about their business and it's kind of like, I didn't ask you to talk about it, but now I'm actually pretty interested and impressed because that's not what I thought of you. You have to be comfortable taking up space, being confident. And sometimes if you got to be the baddest in the room, you got to be comfortable being the baddest in the room. You know what I mean? So just be comfortable taking up space, be comfortable being yourself, and don't take it personal the way that people react to you, because you can't control how other people feel or react to you. So there's no point in taking it personal. Just focus on your attitude about yourself and carry that with you everywhere. And the right people gonna see it, respect it, and return that same energy. For sure.
Quick shout out to your nail tech, man.
Yeah, shout out to my nail tech, T Dior Beauty. Follow her on Instagram. These were the birthday nails. They're a little bit busted now. I got the Libra. I had the Libra charm. The Libra charm came off.
Oh, no.
Finally, I've been dragging it. Oh, my God. But anyways, shout out to T Dior. She's fire. Facts. Brooklyn, baby.
Now, where can we find your music? Let everybody know where to find you on the social media channels before we sign off here today on the Angel of Words podcast.
Yes, it's not hard to find your girl. You could tap in on whatever streaming platform you use: Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Deezer, Amazon Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, whatever you use. You could find me. And like I said, I got YouTube and SoundCloud too. So if you're not paying for streaming services, you don't got a choice either, okay? You can find all my music, my discography, my latest singles, and everything I got coming up. And make sure y'all follow me on Instagram too, Aphrodite.bk. That's AFRODITE.BK, because I'm a Brooklyn baby for real.
And that's what it is. And stay tuned, because she will be performing on deck next.
Yes,
everyone, don't forget to subscribe. Click on that notification bell. Now it's like, click on the subscribe button. Do what you have to do on there on YouTube. Like, follow, comment, share. We appreciate it. Follow us also on Spotify. They have video now, just in case you didn't know that. It's lit, so you can watch it there as well. And all podcast platforms. Special shout out to our sponsors, and thank you to our sponsors at OTW Threads, reminding you to be out of this world, and AttitudeOn10.com, your place to start getting over your trauma and build resilience. If you want to start your own podcast, you have the affiliate links right now below. Full disclaimer, you know what I mean? We get a commission off of that, but at the end of the day, it's where you need to go to buy your stuff to get your voice out there. And stay tuned for the training videos. And on top of everything else, get the merch at AOWENT.com, and also read the blogs that we have up there. They're pretty dope. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Te quiero, Puerto Rico, Santa Isabel.
Viva Mexico.
Live from the Angel of Words Studios, performing Here I Am, Aphrodite.
Yeah. Here. It's Aphrodite. Ha. Here. Hey. Truth be told, I got a lot on my plate. I wrapped up in college, so I got a clean slate. That means no kids. My heart did get broken. I charge it to the game, though. Made it out the cave. I say F you to play, though. Still can't play spades, though. Still always late, but I try not to flake, though. All in your head like the dandruff that flake, though. You fake hoe. Always find loopholes in something. Catch cradle if you ain't got it, baby. Say that. None of my day ones gon' switch up. They say facts, they so lax, they don't lack. Matter of fact, they come in clutch like a firewall hack. Every weekend we around and we play hacky sack. What's understood don't get explained, like the scars on my back. Okay, let's backtrack. I grew up, I'm still a screw up. Teenage me never thought I would've blew up, but here I am, and there's my stance. Know that this a classic, baby, kiss my hand. I was made for this, like this in my land. Started from the bottom just so I can expand. So here I stand, and here I am. Here, said I started from the bottom just so I can expand. I say here I am, and there's my stance. You know that this a classic, baby, kiss my hand. I say here I am, and there's my stance. You know that this a classic, baby, kiss my hand. Here.
And here she is, the mighty Aphrodite. She's getting biz.
Okay.
Yo, that was the mighty Aphrodite here on the Angel of Words podcast. Killing it where here I am. You already know what it is. Subscribe to the channel, baby. Subscribe on that Spotify. Te quiero, Puerto Rico. Santa Isabel.